Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Vasudevasutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. So, we are on chapter 6, which is a detailed chapter on meditation. And we started it already. We did, since there was a gap, I'll just, recapitulate a few things. So here, Krishna Bhagavan is systematically going to tell everything in detail about meditation. And he starts off with telling Arjun that the first verse he says is, one who performs his bounden duty, means obligatory duty, without depending on the fruit of action. And the key word here is without depending on it. Doesn't mean he doesn't plan or he doesn't care about his result. That's not what it means. It means he doesn't depend on it, because result we never know. It comes from the higher self. That person is sannyasi and a yogi, both. And not only those people who actually take sannyas and leave their home and, wear the ochre clothes, they are not the only sannyasi according to Krishna Bhagavan, but anybody who is doing his obligatory duty without depending on the result is also a sannyasi and yogi, in a nutshell. So that was the first verse. And then we had gone to the second one. I had explained everything and we were going to read it. So that's where we were. And it is Swamiji's commentary, but I had brought other Swami's commentaries and added a lot of things. And that is, we did that last couple of weeks ago. So this is a time to read now Swamiji's commentary. So do I have any volunteer to read? Yeah, Sushilji. You have the blue book, Sushilji? Great. Okay. Sushilji came all prepared. Yes.
So we are on the first shloka, right?
No, we are on the second shloka, Sushilji. We had explained everything, and we are going to read Swamiji's commentary of the second shloka.
Okay.
That's where we are.
O Pandava, please know yoga to be that which they call renunciation. No one rarely becomes a yogi who has not renounced thoughts.
Okay, so just to remind everybody that yoga is the same as sannyas, he's saying, and then he's going to explain that unless a yogi renounces thoughts, meaning, there are kind of couple of different ways to look at it, but just unnecessarily things in our mind, all our sankalpas, desires, attachment, thoughts, various concepts, and constantly imagining what the future is going to be like. We don't know, right? We can learn from the past, but you have to focus on the present. But the present time, while doing our karma yoga, if we constantly keep thinking about past and future, that's where the problem comes. The sankalpa comes somewhere there, but everybody has different ways of explaining, and Swamiji has explained. But the way I look at it, unnecessarily thoughts in your head which have no value, that's what they're calling. Okay?
Krishna is repeating the same idea again, lest Arjuna should overlook the fact that what they call sannyasa, the renunciation of agency, is itself yoga, the renunciation of attachment to the fruits of action. Sannyasa is the state reached through yoga. The practice and the spiritual practice of yoga cannot even be thought of without the spirit of sannyasa in the bosom. The one is the obverse and the other the reverse of the same kind of spiritual perfection.
So when we talk about karma yoga, the two main factors in that is that you give up the fruit of action, attachment to the fruit of action. So the word attachment is the most important thing. That, whatever result comes, take it as a prasad. That's what it is. That's the call. And then renunciation of agency means kartapan. Main kar rahi hu, ego. And we have gone into it, without God's help, we cannot do anything anyway. So what kind of ego do we have? So those two, जब तक वो हम लोग छोड़ेंगे नहीं, तब तक कर्म योगा होता ही नहीं है. तो संन्यास ऑलरेडी आ गया ना उसमें. संन्यास means to drop something, unnecessarily stuff. So he's just reminding you that why he's saying, he's giving further explanation in case somebody still has a doubt about it. That's why he's telling you.
It is but natural that the intellectually independent thinker in Arjuna should, at this juncture, ask the question, why? Why, with his raised brows, seeing this, the charioteer implicitly gives the logical reasons behind his seemingly outrageous and daring conclusion. The Lord explains that never can one become established in the practice of one's own cultural rehabilitation unless one has learned the art of renouncing all sankalpas.
So here Swamiji's added this paragraph that's, as though Arjun is saying, क्यों? Because Arjun was trying to argue कि मैं सन्यासी बन जाता हूँ, जो हिमालय पे चला जाता हूँ, मेरे को ये घोर कर्म क्यों करवा रहे हो आप? So अभी भी अर्जुन fully convinced नहीं हुआ है, because Arjun is just ready to listen to Krishna. So that's what in chapter 2, when he surrenders to Krishna and says that, I am your disciple, please teach me, I'm confused, I don't know what I'm doing. That surrender was there, but it was not a full surrender. All he was saying, पहले तो वो सुनने को तैयार नहीं था. Anytime कृष्ण भगवान पहले तो बोले नहीं कुछ, फिर जब उन्होंने बोला beginning of chapter 2 में, तो उसने फिर से थोड़ा argue किया, और अभी भी, अच्छा ठीक है, समझाओ, मैं पूरी समझा नहीं हूँ अभी, but I'm ready to give you benefit of the doubt. Yeah, you want to teach me something. In the end, chapter 18 में जाके full surrender हुआ है उसका. So that's where Krishna Bhagwan is saying, अच्छा तू सन्यासी बनना चाहता है, पर अगर तू कर्म योगा करेगा तो तू सन्यासी कहलाएगा. Don't worry. That's what he's telling him. You're not missing anything by not going to Himalaya. That's the point he's trying to tell him over here.
Unfortunately, the term sankalpa cannot be translated in the language in which we are now talking. Language is a medium of expression discovered by people to exchange their ideas and ideologies. The Englishman has not yet penetrated deeper than his flesh into his scientific study of life, and therefore the term sankalpa, which belongs to the world of the mind and intellect, has not yet been crystallized by this language into any familiar single sound symbol. However, we can try to give our readers a hazy notion of what all constitutes the term sankalpa.
So we already know that moment you translate Sanskrit words into English, half of the time it loses its meaning. It doesn't have the correct import. Even the word Shraddha is not really faith, because it's much, much deeper, the word. Or, dharma also. When you say dharma and you just say religion, no, it's absolutely, that's not the meaning. So same way sankalpa over here, they don't have an English translation, he's saying. But he's going to try to explain in his own way what it is.
Man cannot remain ordinarily without imagining and constantly creating in his exuberant fancy. In his imagination, he invariably tries to pull down the beautiful veil thrown over the face of future, ripping open his veil over the unknown. Every one of us, on all occasions, in our imagination, fix for ourselves a goal to be fulfilled by us in near future. Having fixed up temporary goal, our mind plans and creates a method of achieving that hazy goal. But before we execute our plans and enter into the field of effort to carve out a success to ourselves, the never-tiring, ever-active power of imagination in us would have already wiped clean the goal fixed earlier for achievement and have rewritten a modified destination to be gained in the future.
You can read another 2 paragraphs and then we will discuss it. Yeah.
Again, by the time we prepare ourselves mentally and start executing our ideas in our life, our mischievous fancy would have already wiped clean the distant goal. Thus, each time the goal remains only so long as we have not started our pilgrimage to it. And the moment we start pilgrimage, the goal fades away from our vision. In short, when we have a goal, we have not yet started acting. And the moment we start the strife, we seem to have no goal to reach. The subtle force in our inner composition, which unconsciously creates this lunatic temperament in us, is called the unbridled Sankalpa Shakti.
So I know, let's stop here and we will discuss what Swamiji said. Whoever has a book, it may be a little easier. If you don't have a book, you probably are totally confused of what he's saying. But
which page number? I'm sorry.
you have this blue book, right?
Right.
I have an old one, but Sushil ji probably has a new one. 7 in mine 7.
Page 6.
Page 6. Okay.
Page 6. Okay, got it. Thank you.
So he's basically what he's trying to say is this, that we don't know our future, right? Nobody knows. हम लोग तो नहीं करते. There are Trikaldarshi people who are advanced in spirituality, but they have the capacity to handle it too. हमको कोई बता भी देगा तो हम लोग नर्वस हो जाएंगे and we won't know what to do and हमारा प्रेजेंट भी खराब हो जाएगा. कोई हमको बताएगा कोई बुरी बात होने वाली है, अच्छी बात होने वाली है तो हम लोग बहुत खुश हो जाएंगे और बुरी बात, mentally we cannot handle it. So, but in our imagination we always have this, ऐसा होगा वैसा होगा, and then we get attached to those things. That's what he's talking about. That, constantly living in some kind of Hawaii Mahal, and kind of living in that, that's what is this Sankalpa Shakti. So don't get confused with this Sankalp with when you do the Sankalp, like, to achieve something in the world or something. That's not what they're talking about. So don't get confused with the two terms over here. Because in Vedanta, now that a lot of you probably already got used to it, sometimes the same words can have slightly different meaning in each verse. So you have to have an extremely open mind. You have to see the context and don't, keep going on the word meaning because you will get very confused. So that's why it's a subtle subject, contemplative subject. You have to, whatever Krishna Bhagavan has said before, you have to bring it in also and all that. So a lot of those things need to be done. That's what he's talking about, that we constantly live in this imaginary world of ours. We don't even know. Or वो एक होता है ना एक kind of दृष्टांत that this person, lying under the tree and then he thinks कि वो एक apple गिरेगा और फिर मैं उसको बेचूंगा, फिर मैं उसका वो imagination इतना आगे बढ़ जाता है कि कि मैं घर बनाऊंगा, मेरी बीवी होगी, मेरे बच्चे होंगे, मैं मिलियनेयर बन जाऊंगा. Just those kind of ridiculous things. Those are the things that he's talking about. I'm just exaggerating with that, but we do that on a smaller scale, but we all do it. And then we get attached to those fixed results. That's what he's talking about. Anybody has any confusion about that? Because, otherwise if we read this and we don't know what they're talking about. Dr. Prabhakar.
I just wanted, the way I understood these two paragraphs are that there is an imaginary one. If one sets the goal, imaginary goal, that I want to achieve that goal, and then you start your working on that goal, the imaginary goal fades away.
Imaginary goal goes away, you say.
Am I right? Am I thinking correct?
Yeah, you can
so
say
the
that.
imaginary goal fades away. So we in that way the Swami Ji is explaining that the sankalpas are all our imaginary goals. That is how I understood. and then we may be starting it, but the goal fades away.
True,
Am I
true,
right
true.
in thinking that way?
He did, but उसको थोड़ा मैं ओपन अप कर रही हूँ. Basically क्या होता है कि we should not get confused about this. I should not plan my life. That's not what they're talking about. From my past experience, and it's okay to have a certain expectation because उसके बिना हम लोग कुछ नहीं कर सकते. कोई अगर डॉक्टर बनना चाहता है तो उसको यही चाहता है ना कि डिग्री मिलेगी मुझे. एक सेकंड ना. My son needs my attention for 1 minute because he was leaving. 1 second. I'll be back. Yeah. Okay, you got your stuff, right? Okay. Just drive safely. Don't worry about it now. Whatever happened, okay? Okay, can you please close that door? And I'll talk to you after my class. Sorry about that. This is one of the drawbacks of to working from home. Okay. So, coming back to Prabhakar ji. So, it's totally fine. But what Krishna Bhagwan discourages you while you are working, don't be thinking about past and future because अभी का काम बिगड़ जाएगा. एक बार तुमने सारा एनालिसिस कर लिया, अब सारा ध्यान उस पर लगाओ. और अगर मेडिटेशन में बैठते हैं तो बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट है. संकल्प विकल्प को छोड़ो, राइट? उसके बारे में. So focus on that.
Okay.
That's what they're talking about.
Okay.
We need no help from any great commentators to understand that no achievement, either without or within us, can be gained by anyone so long as we have not pursued, arrested, and finally destroyed this dangerous inner saboteur called Sankalpa. To show that there is no compromise in this, Bhagwan is using a very positive term that none Kashana can ever reach any progress on path of self-redemption without acquiring for oneself a capacity to renounce this self-poisoning sankalpa disturbances.
So here he's saying that word Kashchan means like कोई भी नहीं पहुंच सकता. Meaning अगर वो संकल्प विकल्प करता रहेगा तो he cannot be this sannyasi. So there is no doubt about it. ये नहीं कि भाई oh little bit if I do I can do. No, he's saying you have to completely give it up, and the context is that while you are working you should not be thinking of past and future, and when you're sitting for meditation you have to drop all the sankalpa. If those two things we can remember, that will be very good for us. And there is a connecting paragraph over there.
Karma yoga, practice without regard to the fruit of action, forms an external aid. Vairanga sadhana. To dhyana yoga, the Lord now proceeds to show how karma yoga is a means to better and greater meditation.
So he's basically saying that, bahirang bolte hai usko. Bahirang is outwardly sadhana to dhyana yoga, but he's saying that how it is karma yoga is means to a better and greater meditation. So there another way of looking at it is that, just wanted to put it in the right context, that Krishna Bhagwan, Arjun got all depressed and all that, and he wanted to run away from his duty and all that. And then Krishna Bhagwan told him the highest knowledge, because his main problem was कि hey, so many itne log mar jayenge, ye hoga, wo hoga. Then he's saying, firstly, remember everybody is eternal. So don't have that kind of what should I say, wrong notion that मैं इनको मार रहा हूँ. वो भी ego ही आ गया ना बीच में. और वो ये लोग को मार देंगे तो उनका क्या होगा. नहीं, they have their own journey. जब उनका टाइम आएगा तो वो जाएंगे, और कर्मों का सभी को हिसाब किताब देना पड़ता है. So you just do your duty, what it is. And if he's a soldier and if he has to fight, then he has to do that. But so he gave him the highest knowledge. But खाली knowledge दे के क्या होगा? You have to show the path, how you can get the ये knowledge वो वाला नहीं है कि बाकी पढ़ाई करके और मेरे को आ जाएगा. Like I go and get my degree or something. I just cram, and that's not kind of knowledge it is. It is a knowledge that experiential होना चाहिए ये. What is the journey? Journey, how to get to that point is the karma yoga. So karma yoga is a path to that knowledge. That's what people get confused about, because like we have this discussion sometime in the class. No, hey, we need to do karma yoga and dhyana yoga and bhakti yoga all simultaneously. Yeah, as a upasana you can do, but there is a clear path that hey, that knowledge is there. You start with karma yoga, you will slide into other things. Bhakti will come, upasana will come, all those things will come. That was he's talking about. So here is the verse. Let me chant this verse. Oh, here, Aruraksha. Did you read this connecting one? You already read that, right? Yes. Oh, yes. Bahirang sadhana. That's right. Yeah. Aruruksha munir yogam karma karanamuchyate yoga rudhasya tasyaiva shama karanamuchyate. Let's see the words. Aruruksha, wishing to climb. Mune, of a muni or sage. And we'll see what this word means. It has a much deeper meaning. Yogam, we all know yoga. Karma, so there are different kinds here. He's kind of talking about dhyana yoga actually. Karma is action. Karanam, the cause. Uchyate is said. Yoga rudhasya. So this is a very important word. Of one who has attained the yoga, और ये आरूढ़ होना उसको बोलते हैं हिंदी में, सवार हो जाना किसी के ऊपर. तो Krishna Bhagavan is giving the example what Arjun understood at that time. There were no cars, there were no Teslas, there was none of that. There was, they had to ride the horses and chariots. So all the examples are like that. तो जैसे कि किसी घोड़े पे सवार हो जाते हैं ना, उसको आरूढ़ होना बोलते हैं. और जब घोड़े पे सवार होने के बाद उसको कंट्रोल में ले लिया जाता है. तो वैसे ही मन के घोड़े पे सवार होके मन को कंट्रोल करना. That's what basically he's referring to over here, Arud. And we will go more into it. Tasya is to him, eva is even, shama. This is another very, very important word. Quiescence is यहाँ पर दिया हुआ है. इसका मतलब क्या होता है? Being at rest, inactive, quiet, motionless and still. That's the dictionary meaning of it. तो शमा का मतलब होता है मन की शांति, जिसमें कोई संकल्प विकल्प नहीं आए. हम लोग ने जो बोला ना संकल्प विकल्प ये सब, वो सब नहीं आए, उसको बोलते हैं शमा. We have those six षट संपत्ति also, shama, dhamma, titiksha and all those things. उसमें भी वो shama dhamma आता है, shama. And then tasya is of him, eva is even. Oh, sorry, I already did that. Shama is inaction. Karanam, the cause. Uchyate is said. So let's try to analyze more and see what he's trying to say, and then we will read Swamiji's comment. So just wanted to give you an idea. So he's talking about two different kinds of people. One is एक कोशिश कर रहा है घोड़े पे चढ़ने की. Okay? तो वो उसने एक पाँव यहाँ डाला. अब वो जैसे बोलते हैं ना, वो मूवीज में देखते हैं ना कि कोई अड़ियल घोड़ा होता है तो उसको कितना टाइम लगता है ऊपर चढ़ने में. वो घोड़ा भागता है, फिर ये गिर रहा है, फिर ये हो रहा है. So just imagine मन का घोड़े पे चढ़ने के लिए. So one is trying to climb the घोड़ा, and the other one चढ़ गया है और उसने लगाम हाथ में खींच ली है. You see the difference now? So जो मन के घोड़े पे चढ़ने की इच्छा रखता है, that's one category. और जो चढ़ चुका है लेकिन अभी पहुंचा नहीं है अपनी मंजिल पे, right? Because he is not really self-realized, but चढ़ चुका है. Those are the two different kind of people he's talking about. So he's saying, and then he uses the word muni here. Aruruksha munir yoga. So muni kisko bolte hain? Mananshilvan, contemplative person is called muni. So there are two words. One is rishi and one is muni. Rishi ko bolte hain seer, mantra dishta. The people who जिनको मंत्र reveal होते हैं in their meditation, those are, उसको ऋषि नाम दिया गया है. Muni, mananshil, contemplative seeker. So who is a contemplative seeker? Who has understood the nature of the self. अभी उसको experience नहीं हुआ है, पर उसने intellectually वो समझ चुका है कि self क्या है. And ये मुनि जो ना, he wants to, उसको final stage में जाना चाहता है वो meditation की. So here also don't get confused about the sadhana that you do meditation. Because sometimes I see there is some confusion कि whatever practice you do every day, whatever, whoever you follow, whichever guru you follow, and you do those practices, those are upasana, he's talking about. When they talk about this particular kind of meditation in Bhagavad Gita, they are talking about when you can, completely merged with God. That stage, or that state, that's what it is. Like I was giving an example that जब नदी सागर में मिल जाती है तो सागर बन जाती है. When you lose your own identity and you merge. That's the one they are talking about over here. So keep that in mind and don't get confused with your sadhana. Continue your sadhana, whatever you're doing. So he's saying that जो वो final stage में पहुंचना चाहता है उसको आरु रुक्ष बोला गया है. So wishing to climb. Okay, आरु रुक्ष. So that person who wishes to climb, उसके लिए कर्म योगा साधना है. He has to do karma yoga, and then this is a preparation to reach there. Karma yoga is a preparation to reach there, and then basically what happens in preparation? Purity of mind is reached, because ये जो knowledge है ना उसको पाने के लिए purity of mind चाहिए. And we have discussed कि अगर impure mind में knowledge आता है तो knowledge भी impure हो जाता है. तो जितना हमारा प्योरिटी होगा हम उसको सही ढंग से समझेंगे. एंड द अदर थिंग दैट कर्म योगा डज इज मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट इज इट डेवलप्स वैराग्य इन अस. वैराग्य डजंट मीन सब छोड़ छाड़ के भाग जाना. अगेन वैराग्य मीन्स अटैचमेंट टू दोज थिंग्स दैट वी हैव, पीपल, थिंग्स, रिलेशनशिप्स and results of the future. All those attachments, that's where vairagya comes. So vairagya, all these things come जब प्योरिटी ऑफ माइंड हो जाती है और वैराग्य आ जाता है तो उसको योगा रूढ़ कहा गया है. मीन्स उसका मन कंट्रोल में आ गया. okay? जब मन कंट्रोल में आ जाएगा देन द ओनली साधना फॉर दैट पर्सन, द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट साधना इज क्वाइटिट्यूड ऑफ माइंड, वर्किंग ऑन दैट, ड्रॉपिंग ऑल द संकल्प, विकल्प एंड ऑल दैट, गोइंग ऑन दैट पाथ. शमा बिकम्स द साधना. So that's what the difference is. So जो मन को कंट्रोल करने की इच्छा रखता है उसके लिए कर्म योगा साधना बताया है, और जिसका मन कंट्रोल में हो गया है उसके लिए शमा इज क्वाइटिट्यूड बताया गया है. ओके, एंड हियर Nikhilanand ji from Delhi, he came up with a very nice analysis of that why we, our mind is get disturbed, and like we don't have control over our mind. Why? Because we don't have dispassion. Means we don't have vairagya. That's when desires are constantly disturbing us. So, but when we see through the karma yoga, our mind gets pure, and then we learn that, hey, this world is constantly changing. It's an illusion. And that's when, how do we know that world is illusion and all that? Because when we study the scriptures. If nobody tells us, we would have never thought about it, right? Kitna real lagta hai ye world. Unless some Swami told us, or some higher self, somebody who's wise told us, or we read some Bhagavad Gita, or we read some spiritual book, that's when they tell you that the world is an illusion, and then you contemplate upon those things, and so that's what it is. So then he's saying, why will you study all these scriptures? Because तुम्हारे मन में जिज्ञासा उत्पन्न होनी चाहिए, curiosity, to get that knowledge. How does the curiosity come? Only when we follow the path of karma yoga. Why? Because when we follow the path of karma yoga, desires become less. We have little free time. अगर कोई संसार की सारा टाइम संसार की बातों में घुसा रहेगा, उसको टाइम ही नहीं मिलेगा कि भाई to contemplate upon a higher self. But by doing karma yoga, you are reducing the pressure of vasana, and you are becoming less selfish, and then the desires are reducing. That's when the curiosity is going to come. Hey, who am I? Then I will turn to scriptures. Then I will know this, what self is, what is atma, anatma. Then I'm going to have vairagya, because those things are temporary and illusionary. And then I'll be going more, मन में control आएगा मेरे. फिर मेरे लिए meditation or shama is going to be more useful. So that's the whole sequence over here. Anybody has any question about this? The two different stages of the person Krishna Bhagavan is describing. Everybody understood, right? This. And then that Swamiji from Delhi also gave a Gautam Buddha ka example, that when he, finally when he sat down under the tree, he had already crossed that stage. All the desires and attachment he had dropped. That's why he just got enlightened, because he was that final stage. I think that was a very good example of Gautam Buddha. That's what they're talking about over here. Okay. I think Dr. Prabhakar, did you have something?
I just want you to, for me, I just want you to explain again the two types of people. One who is trying to climb the horse, and the other one is already climbed the horse.
So simply put it, you have some more thing to say. Sorry, before.
No, the same thing. I think you mentioned also example of Muni who is a contemplative. I couldn't understand.
Okay, there are two words in Hindi, na, ek Muni or ek Rishi, right?
Right.
So Rishi ko bolte hain mantra drishta, a seer, the one whose mind is so pure, when he sits in meditation, those mantras are revealed by a higher self to him. Those ko Rishi bolte hain.
Okay.
Muni word has come from Mananashila. Mananashila is the contemplative person.
Okay.
That's all it is. That ordinary person, he's not going to care about, who am I, those things, question don't come. Mananashil ke paas ye question aate hain. So ye inhone jo, for a Muni or a sage who wishes to attain to yoga, because जब हम मननशील बन जाते हैं तभी हमारा मन करता है कि हमारा mind control में आए हमारे. So then talking about those two different kind of people है, एक है जो कोशिश कर रहा है मन को कंट्रोल करने की, और एक है जिसका मन कंट्रोल में हो चुका है. ओके, सो जो कोशिश कर रहा है ना, उसके लिए कर्म योगा इज अ गुड साधना.
ओके.
एंड जिसका मन कंट्रोल में हो गया है, उसके लिए शम बोला है. शम मीन्स क्वाइटिट्यूड ऑफ माइंड. Then he has to sit down and go deeper in meditation.
Okay.
That's
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Any other thing? Okay. So basically, this is what this verse is saying. But just wanted to give you another tip that the next verse is going to be, क्या मेरा मन कंट्रोल में हो चुका है? Because हम लोग को लगेगा कि I don't know, it's a very subtle subject. एक तरफ लगता है कि हो गया मन कंट्रोल, दूसरी तरफ लगता है नहीं हुआ है. उसके साइंस क्या है? राइट, ये क्वेश्चन आएगा ना हमारे में. हम लोग इतने दिनों से मेडिटेट कर रहे हैं, वो कर रहे हैं कि मेरा हुआ है कि नहीं. तो वो verse 4 में बताएंगे. But that we will probably do next time. But just telling you how systematically he's going. Okay. But in this one, he's talking about these things. Okay. Who's my next volunteer today to read? If I don't, then I'm going to ask Anil Ji to read.
For a Muni or sage who wishes to attain to yoga, action is said to be the means. For the same sage who has attained to yoga, inaction, quiescence, is said to be the means.
So here when he says inaction, quiescence, I already told you the meaning. Being at rest, inactive or motionless, quiet and still. All those come, means more and more quietude of mind.
मुझे एक क्वेश्चन इसमें है कि your intensity of desires is based on your vasanas.
Yes,
from previous lives.
Yeah.
So for some, it may take a lot of karma yoga. For some, not so much. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. And the karma yoga is one of those things जिनका जो लोग का मन कंट्रोल में आ जाता है वगैरह, वो स्पॉन्टेनियसली करते हैं कर्म योगा. हम लोग को थोड़ा सोचना पड़ता है, राइट? कि तो हम लोग को ज़्यादा कोशिश करनी पड़ती है. सो जब तक जैसे कृष्ण भगवान ने चैप्टर 3 में बोल दिया कि बिना कर्म किए तो कोई रह नहीं सकता. जब तक जीवन है तब तक हम, और कुछ नहीं तो बॉडी को मेंटेन करने के लिए भी कर्म करना पड़ेगा, राइट. लेकिन हम लोग करते हैं बॉडी को मेंटेन करने के लिए, ओ माय बॉडी हैज टू बी वेरी हेल्दी एंड ऑल दैट. वो भूल जाते हैं क्यों. एंड नीलू जी पुट दैट द कॉन्वर्सेशन बिटवीन द प्राइम मिनिस्टर एंड वन ऑफ द गीता प्रचारक. And whoever is not listened, please do listen, because he gave such a fantastic answer. He's saying, when you're talking about fitness to do some good work for your family, for the society, for the country, and for the world. खाली it's saying otherwise it's like taking a car, एक Mercedes खरीद लिया और उसको घर में पार्क करके रख दिया, खरोच भी नहीं लगे उसको, तो फायदा क्या उसका. So you are doing fitness for what? We don't even think about that. I should not get COVID. I should not. Very good. Be healthy and everything, but then do something with your healthy body. So you are right. So basically what it is that karma yoga we cannot escape. But जब हम लोग बहुत selfish ढंग से करते हैं ना, वो तोड़ने के लिए कृष्ण भगवान ने प्यार बताया, do it with unselfish motives, higher purpose, yagna spirit. So we have to give a little more attention. But एक बार हम लोग की आदत पड़ जाएगी तो फिर हमारा भी spontaneous होने लगेगा. So whatever you said is true, that in the beginning we have to put effort. So there are people who have to put more effort, and others वो सहज में होता रहता है उनसे.
To one who desires to scale over the practice of mental concentration and self-improvement, work is said to be the means. By working in the world with neither the egocentric concept of agency nor the egocentric desires for the fruits of those actions, we are creating within ourselves a convenient atmosphere for the existing vasanas to play out without creating new precipitate of fresh impressions.
So this is another way of explaining karma yoga. What are we actually doing in karma yoga? We are full of desires and vasanas coming from so many janmas. So by working in the world with neither egocentric concept of agency, means kartapan, मैं कर रही हूँ, I'm so great, I'm so great. And then we have seen that, without the help of nature, we cannot do anything anyway. It's not me. Nature is doing it. So that we have to drop, nor the egocentric desire for the fruit of those actions. कि मुझे ये मिल जाए, मुझे वो मिल जाए, and insisting an attachment to fixed action. Because remember, when Krishna Bhagavan was talking to Arjun in the beginning, Krishna Bhagavan did not tell him that, hey, you listen to me and you're going to win the war. He didn't say that. In fact, he told him ulta. He said, अगर तू फाइट करेगा और उसमें मर भी गया ना, तो तुझे स्वर्ग प्राप्त होगा. यू आर नॉट गोना लूज एनीथिंग. योर स्पिरिचुअल प्रोग्रेस विल कंटिन्यू. और अगर तू जीत गया तो तुझे यहाँ का राज्य मिलेगा. तो मतलब दैट टू बोथ द पॉसिबिलिटीज ही केप्ट इट ओपन फॉर अर्जुन, दैट अगर तेरा काम है युद्ध करना, बिकॉज यू आर उसमें, अगर मर, कोई बात नहीं अगर मर गया तो. सो ही डिड नॉट, बिकॉज अर्जुन वॉज अफ्रेड. He kept saying that, I have to kill people, or what if I lose, and ye hai, wo hai. Nothing doing, fix your mind on your duty and just continue. That's the main thing over here.
The metaphor used here is borrowed from horse riding, and it is very powerful in its suggestions. Before we ride over a steed which is wild, to some extent, it drives you rather than the other way. For one who desires to bring a steed under his own perfect control, there is a period when, with one leg on the stirrup, the individual has to hang on to the saddle, and with the other leg on the ground, must learn to kick himself off from the ground and spring up and throw his legs over the back of the animal until the rider sits with the steed completely between his own legs. Having mounted, it is easy to control the animal, but till then the rider, in his attempt to mount the horse, must pass through a stage where he is totally neither on the horse nor on the ground.
Okay, so basically I told you, he gave him the example of riding the horse. एक है जो कोशिश कर रहा है चढ़ने की, and I told you कि वो movies में होता है ना, उसको बहुत टाइम लगता है. अगर कोई अड़ियल घोड़ा होएगा तो अपना मन भी तो वैसे अड़ियल ही है ना. टाइम लगता है उसके ऊपर. लेकिन एक जो है वो कूद के चढ़ गया है और अब उसने उसको पूरा कंट्रोल में ले लिया. And even that whole what should I say, analogy of the chariot that we did in Kathopanishad, कि जो क्या बोलते हैं, घोड़े हैं, those are our senses, and the लगाम is the mind, और लगाम को कृष्ण भगवान ने खींच के रखा हुआ है, means मन को पूरा कंट्रोल में किया हुआ है with higher wisdom, so एक now Dr. Prabhakar, you understood what he's saying. एक जो है ऊपर चढ़ने की कोशिश कर रहा है, दूसरा चढ़ चुका है. तो एक का मन, हम लोग अभी वो स्टेज में है कि हम लोग मन को कंट्रोल करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, फिर एक टाइम आएगा हमारा मन कंट्रोल हो जाएगा. सो दैट्स द सेकंड स्टेज. और या कई लोगों का हो भी चुका है. आई एम नॉट जजिंग एनीवन, एवरीबॉडी नोज वेयर दे आर, सो.
But there is also Anil Bhai, when he read it, there is a stage where neither you are on the horse nor on the ground.
ये कोशिश कर रहे हैं, उसको कोशिश करने वाले स्टेज.
Okay, so that is what. Is there any other way of explaining that? Is there?
I mean, the only way, best way is एक कोशिश कर रहा है, एक चढ़ चुका है. जो कोशिश कर रहा है उसके लिए कर्म योगा is a very important factor. It's like saying I want to go to the Olympics, but I don't want to do workout every day. Will that person be able to go? No, right? Or I want to do PhD, but I want to straight go there. I don't want to do. Kamla ji has to mute. I don't want to do a preparation before that. तो वो बोले कि तो क्या होगा फिर, वो घोड़े पे चढ़ने वाला सीधा फ्लैट गिरेगा फेस के ऊपर. so हम लोग अगर प्रीमैच्योरली कहीं जाने की कोशिश करेंगे तो कृष्ण भगवान को बोल रहे हैं, हाँ तो हिमालय पे जाना चाहता है, नो प्रॉब्लम, बट तैयार नहीं है तो अभी. धनुष उठा और लड़. बट बेसिकली कैसे लड़, कीप मी इन द माइंड एज अ ड्यूटी, यू डू इट, फॉर द वर्चुअस वॉर. या, I hope that makes it clear. And I think the previous paragraph, I kind of wanted to make sure that everybody understood that what it does is that karma yoga, it reduces our vasanas, makes our mind pure, and it does not create new vasanas. Because the biggest problem that जन्म मरण का चक्कर इसलिए चालू रहता है कि हम लोग की पुरानी वासना तो खत्म नहीं होती, ऊपर ऐड करते जाते हो. और डिजायर ऐड करते जाते हैं. सो अगर इफ यू डू द कर्म योगा इन द राइट एटीट्यूड, एंड देन वी हैड some of you joined late in Bhagavad Gita, but there are those very important 5 points of karma yoga. Karma yoga is not just doing being a workaholic. तो उसके अंदर स्वधर्म बुद्धि, समत्वम बुद्धि, असंग बुद्धि, समर्पण बुद्धि और प्रसाद बुद्धि होनी चाहिए. अगर any of these we are lacking, we are not doing karma yoga. So karma yoga is not just doing some going in the hospital and doing some seva over there. That's very good, I'm not discouraging, but unless it has those 5 elements in it, it's not going to be called karma yoga. So a lot of work has to go in karma yoga.
So one example could be, if you are going to the hospital to do some seva, with the anticipation of getting a big certificate, that is gone.
Yeah, absolutely right. और trying to show off, और जाके उधर भी पॉलिटिक्स शुरू कर देंगे, राग द्वेष उधर भी चालू हो जाएगा. होता है ना, सेवा करने के बजाय they are looking at who's doing what wrong. Then again problem. True.
In the beginning, we are merely workers in the world, desire prompted and ego driven. We sweat and toil, weep and sob. When an individual gets tired of such activities, he comes to desire to mount the seed of his mind. Such an individual, desiring to bring the mind under his control and ride over his ruksha, takes upon himself the same work as before, but without the ego and egocentric desires. Such desireless activities undertaken in the yagna spirit explained earlier, cleanse the mind of its past impressions and integrate the entire inner equipment. When thus the required amount of concentration has been gained by the individual as a result of the Vasana purgation effected, he is to stop his activities slowly and apply himself more and more to live in deeper meditation. When once his mind has been conquered and his agitations have become well controlled, the seeker in that state of mental growth and development is termed as having mounted the state of the mind, Yogaruttha. To such an individual at that state of his mental equipoise and self-application, Quiescence, Sama, is the means for gaining a higher perfection and self-growth.
So here, Dr. Prabhakar, he had explained, I know Swamiji's English is like too complicated and all, but he has explained here exactly what you're asking, that a pehli stage mein kya hota hai, and then he actually, this is the way Chinmayanand explained, and it's a beautiful way of explaining that, in the beginning, we all are like very, kya bolte hain, selfish. मेरे को ये मिल जाए, मेरे को वो मिल जाए. After a while, you realize, you know what? This is not giving me happiness. Constantly thinking about myself. Then you want to go to the next stage. You keep doing the same work, but unselfishly. Right? And then, after you do unselfishly, your mind starts